Welcome everyone. In this video, we are going to talk about MTAR Tech, which is a very hyped up company these days in the market. And so we are going to dive very deep into this company और हम समझेंगे कि ये company actually करती क्या है, इसके क्या अलग अलग business segments हैं, and ये कैसे पैसा कमाती है, इसकी business strategy क्या है. So just a quick disclaimer, I am a SEBI registered analyst. However, this video is not investment advice. I may or may not hold position in the stocks discussed in this video or any other video. So what is MTAR Tech? MTAR Tech basically एक मैन्युफैक्चरिंग और डिज़ाइन कंपनी है जो इन 4 एरियाज़ के लिए प्रोडक्ट्स डिज़ाइन करती है. न्यूक्लियर रिएक्टर्स में जो पार्ट्स लगते हैं न्यूक्लियर रिएक्टर बनाने के लिए, वो पार्ट्स MTAR Tech बनाती है. जो स्पेस शटल्स जाते हैं मिशंस पे, उसके पार्ट्स MTAR Tech बनाती है. डिफेंस के कंपोनेंट्स बनाती है. और क्लीन एनर्जी यानी रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी के पार्ट्स भी MTAR Tech बनाती है. अब इसको हम डिटेल में आगे चल के देखेंगे. ठीक है. सो दिस इज़ गोइंग टू बी दी ओवरऑल फ्लो ऑफ दिस वीडियो. एन इंट्रोडक्शन टू द कंपनी, फिर वो इंडस्ट्री ओवरऑल कैसी है उसके बारे में हम देखेंगे, फिर हम कंपनी स्पेसिफिक्स के बारे में देखेंगे, फिर जो फिर जो लेटेस्ट फाइनेंशियल ईयर गुजरा है उसके हाइलाइट्स देखेंगे, और जो करंट फाइनेंशियल सिचुएशन है कंपनी की उसको देखेंगे. जो अपकमिंग ईयर है 2023 टू 2024 वाला, उसका क्या आउटलुक है. फिर व्हाट इज़ द इन्वेस्टमेंट थीसिस फॉर दिस कंपनी, व्हाट आर द की रिस्क्स इन दिस कंपनी. ओके. सो MTAR Tech टेक्नोलॉजी is an Indian manufacturer of precision engineered systems for customers in clean energy, which is renewable energy. उसमें सिविल न्यूक्लियर पावर आ जाता है, फ्यूल सेल्स यानी बैटरीज आ जाती हैं, हाइड्रल और वो सब आ जाता है, और उसके अलावा स्पेस और डिफेंस के लिए भी ये पार्ट्स बनाते हैं. So overall, this stock has given more than 60% return over the last 1 year, right? This is a stock in the industrials sector. The total market cap for this company right now is around 8,000 crores. So it's a mid-cap company. Now let's have an industry overview. तो वन ऑफ द मेन एरियाज वेयर दे फोकस इज सिविल न्यूक्लियर पावर. ये इंडस्ट्री क्या है? बेसिकली ये न्यूक्लियर रिएक्टर्स के थ्रू इलेक्ट्रिसिटी जनरेट करना है, इज न्यूक्लियर पावर. तो इस वक्त इंडिया में जो टोटल इलेक्ट्रिसिटी प्रोडक्शन होता है उसमें से सिर्फ 3% ऑफ टोटल प्रोडक्शन इज़ थ्रू न्यूक्लियर पावर. ठीक है. और ये जो 3% एनर्जी आ रही है, इसके लिए देर आर इन इंडिया 22 रिएक्टर्स जिसकी कंबाइंड ऑपरेशनल कैपेसिटी 6.7 गीगावाट्स है. और इस वक्त 8 कैपेसिटीज़ अभी कंस्ट्रक्शन के अंदर हैं. जो रिएक्टर्स अंडर कंस्ट्रक्शन है उनकी कैपेसिटी 6 गीगावाट्स है. तो यानी जब ये 8 रिएक्टर्स लाइव हो जाएंगे, सो द कंबाइंड कैपेसिटी विल बिकम 6.7 + 6, which is 12.7 gigawatts. And the government plans to increase the capacity from the current capacity of 6.7 gigawatts to 22-23 gigawatts by 2031. So this is taken directly from the annual report of MTAR Tech. So the current capacity you can see 6.7. This will become around triple of that by 2030, which is 22 gigawatts. And this is sort of the breakup, right? So the current capacity is 6.7. उसके अलावा जो ऊपर से अंडर कंस्ट्रक्शन है दैट इज़ 6 गीगावाट्स, और अंडर कंस्ट्रक्शन के अलावा उसके ऊपर जो प्लान्ड है दैट इज़ 9.1, right? 9.1 gigawatts. So if you combine all these three, you get approximately 22.4, which is the total capacity planned till 2030, right? So 13 plus 9, 22. And this is the market potential for all of this work required. So operational reactors ka jo capital cost hai is around 110 billion rupees, which is 1100 crores. Under construction is 700 billion rupees, which is 70,000 crores. And planned expansion total milake is this huge amount, which if you translate it to US dollars is almost $2 trillion. Now this is a huge number, right? But I will be frank with you that I'm a bit skeptical of these numbers, because $2 trillion is more than half the GDP of this country. It's as big as Saudi Aramco. So you cannot say that by 2030 the Indian nuclear industry will be worth half the GDP. So it doesn't make sense right now to me. But these are the numbers which are coming from annual reports, and obviously the company wants to be bullish in what they're doing, and they want to keep their investors bullish. So this could be a number that is valid for, let's say, a period from today till 2040 or something like that. But for up to 2030, I feel it's a bit of a being over optimistic. Now, NPCL, which stands for Nuclear Power Corporation of India Limited. It's rolling out tenders for fleet reactors in near to medium term. Total investment for building these reactors is 1800 billion rupees, which is 1800 into 100 crores, which is almost $2 trillion. As I said, it's a huge amount, and I feel that it's a bit of a stretch. The actual amount would be lower than this, but anyway, out of this 350 to 435 billion rupees, uh, which is 30 to 40,000 crores, would be equipment market. So that is basically the opportunity that there is for players like MTAR Tech and other players, obviously, who provide materials and equipments and design services to these nuclear projects. Combined aftermarket revenue estimated to reach 9 to 10 billion rupees in financial year 2020 to 2025 from just 6 billion in 2015 to 2019. Over the next 5 years, maintenance and refurbishment market is anticipated to expand by around 1.7x or almost double, right? So these are the reactors which are under construction, right? And this is the gross capacity in terms of gigawatts that will come into play. तो इनकी सब की combined capacity 6 gigawatts है और ये नए planned reactors हैं जो अभी तक जिनका कंस्ट्रक्शन शुरू नहीं हुआ है. नाउ कमिंग टू फ्यूल सेल्स. सो एक तो उनका सेक्टर हो गया न्यूक्लियर, जो हमने देख लिया. उसके बाद उनका जो दूसरा सेक्शन है वो फ्यूल सेल्स का है. फ्यूल सेल्स क्या है? बेसिकली बैटरीज होती हैं जो केमिकल एनर्जी स्टोर करती हैं, और वो केमिकल एनर्जी कैन बी कन्वर्टेड टू इलेक्ट्रिकल एनर्जी. वाई डू यू नीड फ्यूल सेल्स? वेल, यू नीड फ्यूल सेल्स टू स्टोर एनर्जी, राइट? क्योंकि इतना सारा इलेक्ट्रिसिटी प्रोडक्शन हो रहा है, चाहे न्यूक्लियर के थ्रू हो या सोलर के थ्रू हो या विंड एनर्जी के थ्रू हो, कैसे भी हो, तो यू कैन नॉट कंज्यूम ऑल ऑफ दैट एट इंस्टेंट. यू कैन नॉट कंज्यूम ऑल ऑफ वॉट यू प्रोड्यूस, एंड यू नीड टू स्टोर दैट इलेक्ट्रिसिटी. जितनी भी इलेक्ट्रिक मशीनरी हैं, you need batteries to store that renewable energy so that it can be used when you want to use that car or whenever you want to use that equipment, right? So global fuel cell market is expected to grow at 15% CAGR over the next 7-8 years, and US, South Korea, Japan are leading markets. Bloom, which is one of the main customers, one of the main clients for MTAR Tech, has 44% global market share in stationary fuel cells. Total opportunity size from hydrogen fuel cells is estimated at more than $2 trillion. And this is global, so this is believable, which is huge. So these are the different kind of fuel cells, right, and different efficiencies that they provide. This is way too technical, you don't need to get into that. Coming to space and defense sector. So this is a sector that has recently been gaining a lot of traction and a lot of attention because of ISRO's recent successful mission to moon. So this is one of the focus areas in the Atmanirbhar Bharat initiative. Indian space sector is valued currently at $9.6 billion, which was the last value taken in 2020, and it's just 2% of global space economy. The target is to reach $13 billion by 2025. That is, in the next 2 years, we want to reach at $13 billion and eventually capture 10% of global space economy by 2030. Okay. The launch service segment projected to grow at a CAGR of 13%, to reach $1 billion by 2030 from $600 million in 2020. So in the space and defense area, there's a lot of different things that goes on. So just the launch service, is worth $600 million in 2020, and that is expected to reach $1 billion by 2030. And this space will overall grow at 13% CAGR. एंड ये जो लॉन्च सर्विसेज होती हैं, जैसे एमटार टेक ने अभी एक लॉन्च मिशन भेजा, जैसे इसरो ने अभी एक लॉन्च मिशन भेजा मून पे. सो इसमें जो शटल्स जाती हैं, इसके जो डिवाइसेस, ये इसमें जो शटल जाती है और शटल में जो डिफरेंट इक्विपमेंट्स और डिफरेंट एलिमेंट्स लगते हैं, वो एमटार टेक बनाता है, right? These are the number of launches by ISRO over the last many years. People don't know, but they have been launching some shuttles almost every year, right? So over the last 5 years, there was actually somewhat of a decline in terms of the launches. So over the last 5-6 years, that there has not been much growth. In fact, there has been a little bit of degrowth in terms of the number of launches ISRO did. But in the coming 5 years, that is supposed to completely change, and the number of launches will increase a lot, because obviously India is moving towards. Because India is, willing to, because India, and obviously this is because India wants to capture 10% of the global space market. बिजनेस ओवरव्यू, राइट. सो हमने अभी एमटाटेक के सारे बिजनेस सेगमेंट्स देख लिए, फ्रॉम न्यूक्लियर, क्लीन एनर्जी, space and defense. Now let's look at the company itself. So company was founded in 1969 to cater to Indian civil nuclear power programs. So it's a pretty old company. This company is more than 53 years old. And then it forayed into clean energy in 2009. This company is engaged in manufacturing of precision engineered systems. This we already discussed. And you can see that majority of the revenue is coming from clean energy, which is 57%. Then the next big is nuclear, almost 17% coming from nuclear, 17% coming from space and defense, and the other miscellaneous is coming, and around 9% is coming from other sources. Right. So here's sort of a timeline. So in 1969, it was the inception of MTAR to support coolant channel. So let's look at a timeline of the company, right? So in 1969, MTAR Tech was incorporated to supply coolant channel assemblies to the Department of Atomic Energy in India. Then in 1983, it commenced supplies of components to Indian Space Research Organization. तो 1983 में इस कंपनी ने इसरो को पार्ट्स सप्लाई करना शुरू किए. In 1989, it rolled out its first Vikas engine for space launch vehicle. So this was a very big sort of pivotal point for this company. Then in 2009, the company forayed into clean energy fuel sector by supplying SOFC unit for fuel cells. Then in 2020, development of electro-pneumatic modules for space launch vehicles. This is another very crucial element that is used in launching shuttles to space. Then in 2022, development of proto units of roller screws. Again, we'll get into this. And in 2023, it entered into a memorandum of understanding framework with InSpace for the development of small satellite launch vehicles. So this is something that has happened this year itself. So MTAR Tech segment-wise product portfolio. So in nuclear power, in civil nuclear power, they make the fueling machine head, they make the grid plate, they make FM bridge and column, they make coolant channel assemblies, they make vault top hatch cover beams, they make control plugs, and they make lubricated bearings. And they make lubricated bearings. Now ये हर एक element ऐसा है कि we can have a separate video on this. In clean energy, it makes SOFC and hydrogen unit fuel cells. So basically, SOFC is a type of battery. So they make, and fuel cells is just a fancy name for batteries, right? They make spiral casing for hydel sector, and they also make other structures for hydel structures. I know they also make other structures for, and they also make other structures for hydel sectors. In space, they have made Vikas engine, they have made electro-pneumatic modules, and in stage 2 they have made cryogenic engine subs. So cryogenic engines are basically rocket engines that use liquefied gas as fuel, and then ball screws. In defense, they make helicopter housing, they make the gearbox for the helicopters, they make the actuators, and they make the wing kit assembly, right? These are their customers. So it's not just limited to ISRO, as a lot of people might be thinking. So the entire gamut of people in space, in nuclear power, in defense, in clean energy, in oil energy, they have all of these people as customers. Now, the only risk here, and I will again highlight that in the coming slides, is that Bloom Energy, which you see over here, makes up a very big chunk of their client portfolio. So most of the revenue is coming from Bloom Energy and very little from all these other players. That's one risk in this company, right? These are more of their customers in defense and clean energy. So they have around 7 different plants for manufacturing different products and catering to different sectors, right? You can pause this video and have a look at this. This is taken directly from their annual report. This is their board of directors. You'll notice here that it's a family run business. So you can see ready, 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 right? So it has its own pros and cons, but usually family run businesses are very closely knit, and there's a high level of coordination there. But in a lot of family run businesses, sometimes rivalries can arrive. So that is quite detrimental to shareholders, but we don't see any such thing in this company. Now, 2022 to 23 highlights. So the financial highlights are that this company achieved a revenue of 5,700 crores this last financial year, which is a 78% year-on-year increase. The EBITDA and did an EBITDA of 1,540 crores with a EBITDA margin of 26%, net profit of 104 crores with a margin of 18%. The closing order book right now is 1,172 crores. It added new customers such as GE Power, Colin Aerospace, Thales, JKN Aerospace, etc. It entered into a memorandum of understanding framework with InSpace for design and development of SSLV. Revenue from clean energy fuel cells is 424 crores. Civil power accounted for 43%. Accounted for, Civil nuclear power accounted for 43 crores. Delivered 49 crore revenue in space and MNC aerospace segment. Revenue from defense stood at 15 crores and revenue from products and others stood at 23 crores. Financial summary. So you can see this is basically a chart of its historical PE ratio. This is not a price chart, this is a PE chart. You can see it went all the way up to 130, 140 PE, which is pretty high, and the median PE has been 71, which is around the range it is trading at right now. So this company had a pretty high PE so this company has a pretty high PE so this company does have a pretty high PE compared to the average market. So this is one of the risks in the company कि ये बहुत इस वक्त overvalued है. Even if you bake in multiple years of future growth, this the price is already reflecting that. This is the financial summary. You can see the revenue has increased steadily. You can see the revenue has increased steadily from 2019 to 23, right? And the adjusted EPS obviously has gone up accordingly. The operating margin and net profit margin has been mostly stable. Over here, you can see that the efficiency ratios like return on equity, return on capital employed, return on assets have been improving over the last 3 years. But the problem you see here is that the free cash flow for this company is negative. And that's because the company has been investing very heavily in expansion and in capacity expansion and capital expenditures. This is the financial summary. You can see that the revenue has gone up from 180 crores to 635 crores. So in just the last 4 or 5 years, the revenue has. So in just the 5 years time, you can see the revenue has 4xed, right? Uh, the revenue has almost increased by 4 times. The net profit has gone from 39 crores to 108 crores. So definitely a very well performing company in terms of financials, right? The only issue is if you look at the cash flow. So for the last 3 years, it has been a negative cash flow. So minus 14 crores, minus 120 crores, minus 100 crores, because they're not saving anything. In fact, they're spending more than the cash flow that they're generating. So that's an issue. And you can see that on the liability side, they are taking on more and more debt to fund this expansion. So the total liabilities you can see from 300 crores, 346 crores, 500 crores, 700 crores, now almost 1000 crores, more than 1000 crores. So the increasing liability is an issue, right? These are the ratios. So you can see the quick ratio has gone down from 3 to 0.9. That means their liabilities are increasing quite a lot. But overall, if you look at other metrics such as return on asset, return on invested capital, return on equity, that is pretty much decent. Operating profit margin you can see is hovering around 30%, which is very decent. Net operating profit margin is around 18%, which is also very decent. So this is a peers comparison. Now, they don't really have exact peers, but these are comparable companies. So you can pause the video right here and have a look. You can see that most companies here have pretty high PE. But I would still say MTAR Tech looks on the higher side of valuations, even compared to its peers, and much higher when you look at price to book value. Now, what are the future outlook, right? So in the coming years, they want to move from just precision engineering towards total system integration, right? They're targeting a revenue growth of 45 to 50% with an EBITDA margin of 28 to 29%, closing order book of 1500 crores by the end of 2024, uh, to execute around 120 crores to 130 crores of orders in the product category. Civil nuclear power to witness a growth of 40%. Space poised to register a year on year growth of 40%, revenue of defense to increase year on year by 20%, targeting a revenue of 5,000 crores over the next 5 years. Investment thesis, right? So, what is investment thesis in this company? And at the end, I'll also disclose whether I am invested in the company or not. So, clean energy. So, global fuel cell is expected to post a annualized growth rate of 30 to 35% over the next 10 years. Final stages of discussion with Fluence Energy, which is going to be their new client, for supplying enclosures to their batteries. Potential to generate 150 to 200 crores over the next couple of years from this new client. Okay, civil nuclear energy, nearly 50 crores of orders are expected in FY 23 to 24 from Kaiga 5 and 6 reactors. MTAR caters to 20 to 25% of equipment portion of the overall order for 700 megawatts nuclear plant. The total equipment addressable market for MTAR tech stands at 70 to 80 billion rupees over the next decade from the fleet reactor orders. So 70 billion rupees, you need to understand, is 7,000 crore rupees. That's almost $1 billion. Space. India's space sector estimated to capture space. India's space sector is estimated to capture 10% of the market global share. India's space sector is estimated to capture 10% of the market share of global space economy by 2030, which translates into a CAGR of 15 to 20% over the coming years. It entered into an MOU with InSpace for design and development of small satellite launch vehicle, which we already discussed. Aerospace and defense, in discussion with several MNC customers that entail 45 to 50% year on year growth in revenue in aerospace vertical. After obtaining the defense license, the company can manufacture for global MNCs that are looking to capture the opportunity in the defense sector of India. So, this company has niche manufacturing capabilities, decades of experience in manufacturing and development of innovative technologies, state of the art facilities. MTAR provides services to Indian space industry, which is marked with high entry barriers as working with space technologies entails advanced technological capabilities, skilled talent pool, manufacturing prowess, quality assurance, etc. As, as a result, the supplier ecosystem of ISRO has very few major players, which as a result, the supplier ecosystem of ISRO has very few major players, with each operating in a niche monopolistic segment of precision equipment manufacturing. And this is where MTAR really shines, right? It's present across diverse sections. It's present across diverse sectors, supplies SOFC and hydrogen units, which are basically fuel cells and batteries, sheet metal assemblies, enclosures, ASP assemblies to solid oxide fuel cells, ASP assemblies, uh, and all other equipments in the fuel cell sector. Within the space sector, the company has been supplying ISRO a wide variety of mission critical assembly, specifically liquid propulsion engines, cryogenic engines, which includes turbo pumps, booster pumps, gas generators, and injector heads for such engines, electro-pneumatic modules to serve space launch vehicles. It supplies precision equipment for defense and import substitutes that find application across various sectors. Then it's adding new customers. And this company is already known for its long-standing relationship with customers. It's focusing on expanding its product base by adding new customers and enhancing its wallet share with the existing customers. In advanced stages of discussion with Fluence Energy, that is into battery storage systems. So the company is currently in advanced stages of discussion with Fluence Energy, that is into battery storage systems. Furthermore, the company has also initiated discussions with customers that are into hydrogen storage systems. Right, this is expected to give the company a significant growth of revenue in the coming years. In the previous financial year, the company added customers including GE Power, Colon Aerospace, Thales, etc. New customers are expected to turn into key strategic accounts. New customers are expected to turn into key New customers are expected to turn into key strategic accounts and generate recurring revenue 2 to 3 years down the line. Now, the biggest issue with this company, I mean, you could say it's a positive or also a negative, is that the company has been riding Bloom's success, which is one of the largest clean energy players in the world. In the clean energy segment, MTAR caters to Bloom Energy USA, a market leader in stationary fuel cell segment. Fuel cell is expected to witness a 35% compounded annual growth rate over the next 10 years, and Bloom Energy is targeting a revenue of $10 billion by the end of 2030. Bloom Energy has signed a deal with South Korean conglomerate SK Group to provide $4.5 billion of equipment and services, which translates into Bloom Energy deploying 500 million watt of power through 2024. Higher rates of acceptance above 35% CAGR and large orders for BE's SO based electrolyzers shall ramp up the production volumes. Bloom Energy is targeting 30 to 35% CAGR over the calendar year 2020 to 2030. So one of the things, as I said, as I so one of the things, as I have been repeatedly saying, is that they have a very concentrated vendor base. Another interesting point is that अगर ये कंपनी है और वो अपने क्लाइंट्स को सर्व कर रही है, तो another very important point is if this is the company and is serving to its clients, तो जो क्लाइंट्स को वो एंड मटेरियल सर्व कर रही है, उस एंड मटेरियल बनाने के लिए उसको अपने वेंडर्स से रॉ मटेरियल लेना पड़ता है, राइट? सो it is now diversifying its vendor base as well to eliminate dependence on specific vendors. This helps in minimizing supplier risk on account of low supplier dependency. Company maintains a long-term relationship with its major suppliers, but does not have any long-term contracts with any of its supplier. तो long-term contract की एक issue ये होता है कि आप अगर वो supplier अच्छे products नहीं दे रहा या मटेरियल के साथ कोई इशू हो गया तो आप अब फंस गए, आप कुछ कर नहीं सकते क्योंकि आपको लॉन्ग टर्म कॉन्ट्रैक्ट है. तो यू नीड टू हैव लॉन्ग टर्म रिलेशनशिप्स so that there is some dependability and there is some trust, but because you are not using long term contracts, so you are hedged against any serious price change or quality change. Therefore, the company is able to negotiate favorable terms and avail even better discounts, thus benefiting from having diversified vendor base. Key risks. Well, the main risk is revenue concentration. It's currently heavily dependent on Bloom Energy, which is its main customer. Change in government policy. So customers like ISRO, DRDO receive government funding. तो इनके जो customers हैं, a lot of them are government bodies, right? और उनको गवर्नमेंट से फंडिंग मिलती है. तो अगर गवर्नमेंट पॉलिसी या गवर्नमेंट बजट में कोई चेंज आया जिससे इनकी फंडिंग कम हो जाए, तो फिर MTAR Tech will also be highly affected. Then liberalization or defense and space sector. So a lot of startups are entering the space. Are entering into the startup space in satellite launches and drones and etc. So this will also pose a competition threat. Although a lot of startups will take time to reach a stage where they can actually threaten MTAR Tech, but this is something to keep in mind. So that was our comprehensive analysis and review of MTAR Tech. मैं जितनी चीज़ें कवर करना चाहता था शायद उसका सिर्फ 10-20% कवर कर पाया, बिकॉज इट्स अ वेरी कॉम्प्लेक्स कंपनी इन टर्म्स ऑफ द सेगमेंट्स दे ऑपरेट इन. तो जिन न्यूक्लियर सो फॉर एग्जांपल दे ऑपरेट इन न्यूक्लियर एरिया, तो न्यूक्लियर रिएक्टर्स में एक एक प्रोडक्ट्स जो वो बनाते हैं, सो वी कुड actually go into discussion and discuss each of the products they make. But anyway, I think this video is getting pretty long. Ultimately, my disclosure is that I was invested in this company and I took my position during the first half of this year. But recently I have exited because I feel that valuations are getting a bit stretchy. I think we booked around 30-40% profit in this stock. Anyway, so thanks for watching.